And today I wanted to talk to you again about mold. So this is part two. Yesterday we talked about, where we can get mold from. So it could be you can eat it, you could drink it, it could come from touching it, it could come from breathing it in. There's so many different ways that we can come in contact with mold. And so today I wanted to dig a little bit deeper with you and talk about kind of some symptoms that could be signs to your body that you're dealing with mold toxicity, because this is something that's often underappreciated. It's not looked at when we're dealing with issues. And so if you think of mold, like what are the symptoms that come to mind right away? So for me, things like difficulty breathing or asthmatic reactions is something that I think of right away. Things like coughing, like wheezing, like sneezing are all common thoughts when it comes to mold. Or there's the itchy, watery eyes. That's something that's not a surprise to people if they find out that there's mold present, that those symptoms would be associated with it. But while all of these can be true, all of these could be symptoms that are linked to mold, I want to share with you today some surprising symptoms that also could be a sign that you're experiencing mold toxicity. I'm having connection issues on Instagram. Sorry, guys, just one second. Okay. We might be live on Instagram. We're definitely live on Facebook and on YouTube right now. So, the symptoms that could be a sign that you're dealing with mold toxicity that are often not even appreciated or recognized, imbalance in hormones is something that we often don't even think about. Like, that could be mold that's causing that. This can lead to symptoms as well. So, these could be symptoms like weight gain or difficulty losing weight. And when this happens, when you're having a hard time losing weight, how often do you see someone and have them say, like, oh, are you living in a moldy place? Are you, touching mold on a daily basis? Do you have a job that involves cleaning mold or being in a place that's moldy? Does your basement leak? Have you had, water damage in your home or in your workplace? These are all things that can lead to mold, but mold is often not considered when it comes to symptoms like this. So, weight gain or difficulty losing weight, if you've been trying for a long time to get rid of hormone related symptoms like this, and it's just not budging or nothing is working for you, we need to figure out why. We need to figure out what's going on with you that you're not getting to the result that you want. Other hormone imbalance symptoms that could be or a symptom of mold toxicity are changes to your menstrual cycle. So I'm going to share a story of a client that we've worked with recently who this was the case for her. This could be really heavy periods. This could be missing periods. This could be clotty periods. This could be really bad PMS leading up to your cycle as well. Or it also could be menopause symptoms. These could be mold related things as well. And ultimately, if you have symptoms, a symptom is a sign from your body that there's something not functioning properly. It's a sign that you need to dig deeper and figure out what's going on to get to the solution and to find a solution so you can work through these. Symptoms aren't things we have to just live with. And a lot of the times in society, I mean, I know for me growing up, that was a belief that I had, that if I was dealing with something, it was like, well, that's just me. I just need to suck it up and deal with this. I really drew the short straw here, but that's not the case. Symptoms are just a sign that your body needs support. And it's our job to figure out what the support is that we need. And this can be daunting and this can be hard to try and do on your own, but there are people that are willing to help you. And that's a big part of our mission at Align Natural Health, because we've been through this experience in the past too, where, maybe you go to your doctor, maybe you get lab work done and tests, and the results come back and they're like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just you, or I've even had a gynecologist years ago say, oh, it's all in your head. There's nothing wrong with you. And so we want to really help you figure out what's the cause. Why are you dealing with the things you're dealing with? So if you've got changes in your menstrual cycle and you're not finding a solution or finding any answers to this, we could help you. We can help you figure out why. Maybe it's mold, maybe it's something else. But the whole point is that we need to test you to figure out what's going on, what's the cause. Other hormone imbalance symptoms you could deal with that could be linked to mold, things like estrogen dominance. A lot of people don't realize that estrogen dominance has become something that's really common the last several years, the last decade or more. And this is something that can come from a lot of sources, but mold can have an impact on this as well. And estrogen dominance can be in men or women. It's not just in women. which a lot of the times we assume because estrogen is a sex hormone that's very commonly considered a female hormone, but that's not always the case. So, excess estrogen in women can lead to symptoms. So, it can lead to symptoms like the weight gain or the difficulty losing weight, the cycle changes. Endometriosis is related to excess estrogen as well. So is PCOS at times. A lot of the times with PCOS, you will have like changes in your cycle and changes in your hormones that could actually lead to low estrogen. But ultimately, when these hormones are out of balance, we're going to end up with more problems. And excess estrogen in women is also linked to other further health issues. So things like cancer. So if this is a problem that's going on for you, we need to figure out why. Why are you having these issues? And then how to get your body back into balance so that the symptoms and the problems will go away. Excess estrogen in men is a problem as well. When we're dealing with excess estrogen in men, this will often show up as things like muscle loss, things like it causes a dip in testosterone. So this is a problem for men for sure. It can lead to low libido. It can lead to infertility, and it can also lead to an increase in breast tissue growth. So no guy wants to deal with that. Well, it's not their fault, but we need to figure out why. Why are you dealing with this? If it's because of excess estrogen, why? Why are you dealing with this? It's always about digging deeper and figuring out what's the actual root cause of what you're dealing with. Um, Mold toxicity can also cause depression. It can cause headaches. It can cause sleep problems. It can cause chronic sinus problems, which is often something that's not considered. You go to your doctor, and often the solution is here's a prescription for something. But if we're not figuring out why you're having these issues, we're not actually going to resolve them. It can cause low energy, it can cause fatigue, it can even cause aches, muscle aches, and joint pain, which is a surprising one for a lot of people. So, something important that maybe you probably don't recognize is that, or maybe you do recognize is from this list, is that they have quite a few things that could be the cause for them. And this is what can make it really tricky for people to figure out why, to figure out what they need to do to get better and how they can help themselves because there are so many different things that could be causing them. So, if you go to your doctor, which is this is something that I did in the past too, if you go to your doctor, if you have any of these symptoms, they can run blood work or other lab tests to try and figure out what med could help you with making the symptoms go away or making them less unbearable so that you can live your life. Because ultimately, they're going to get in the way of doing the things you want to do. But in my opinion, the first place that we need to start when you're dealing with symptoms, as I've already said, is to find the cause. Why are you dealing with these symptoms to begin with? And this is where using quantum nutrition testing, it's a really helpful tool because it allows us to test your body from head to toe to figure out why you're dealing with the symptoms. Let's take fatigue for an example. So that I mentioned fatigue is something that could be related to mold exposure or mold toxicity in your system. That's a pretty broad topic. And there are many reasons that you could be dealing with fatigue. But when we start with finding the cause, like maybe it's mold, or it could be something in your diet, or it could be stress, or it could be chemicals, or it could be other toxins, it could be radiation, it could be parasites. There's so many different reasons that could be why you're dealing with fatigue. And if we just look at symptoms, they often don't show up by themselves. So, any of the symptoms, the fatigue, the period problems, the low libido, the joint pain, most of these are going to come in groups because nothing in the body works in isolation. This is why we test your whole body. We test every organ and gland in your system because we want to really help to make sure we figure out what's the root cause. Why are you dealing with the symptoms that you're dealing with? So that we can start putting together a plan that will help you get back into balance so that you can get past them and so that you can get better. So I was talking about with a client earlier about, as I said, I'll mention a little bit more about the fatigue thing. But I had a client who was going to her doctor over and over for more than a decade because she was having really heavy periods and she was exhausted all the time. The blood work showed that her iron was low, which, okay, so the low iron was determined the reason why she was tired all the time. And yes, low iron will impact energy. So she was given iron pills to help get the energy back up. Okay. It helped a bit because the energy did help improve, or the iron did help improve the energy a bit, but why was her energy low? Why was her iron low? Her iron was low because the heavy cycles. Well, is giving her iron going to make her cycles not as heavy? Is giving her iron figuring out why her cycles were heavy? This is where a problem, because the doctor never looked into why she was having heavy cycles. And the answer, after working with us and after using the quantum testing, was figuring out that she had been living in a moldy apartment for years, and mold toxicity was actually what was causing her problems. Quantum nutrition testing helped us find the cause for this client. And we found out what this client's body needed to get back into balance, to get the mold toxicity out of her system. Her cycles calmed down. She no longer feels like she's bleeding to death every month, which is a horrible feeling. I've been there. If you're a man, you don't understand, but you have things that you've had to deal with for a long time too that can really impact your quality of life. So once we figured out, how to put her system back into balance, and her cycles calmed down and she's no longer bleeding to death every month, her iron levels are improving steadily and her energy has improved too. So if you have symptoms that you just haven't had anyone work with you to help dig deeper and find out why, this is where we can help. So for the month of January, we have a special on our new client assessment bundle, which includes 2 appointments with us and your first full round of quantum nutrition testing. So if you bring us a symptom that you're dealing with, we'll help you find the cause. And then from here, we put together a custom program just for you to help you get better. This is not a cookie cutter way of doing things. This is looking at your body, figuring out where the imbalances are, and then what your body needs to get back into balance. So if this is something you'd like help with, I'm going to drop the link in the comments of these videos. If you're on Instagram, you can take a look at my bio, or you can send me a message anytime. I'd be more than happy to help you. And any questions, yes, reach out anytime. Send a message, click the link in our bio or my bio, and I'd be more than happy to help you. So hopefully you got something from this. Hopefully it was beneficial. If you know anyone who's struggling with energy, who's struggling with low iron, who's been having a really hard time with changes in periods or with joint pain or any of the symptoms that I mentioned, please share this with them. We're here to help. And if there's anything we can help you with, absolutely reach out. Be happy to help.